In a city where tradition runs as deep as the Mississippi itself, an important moment finally arrives. On February 27th, 1827, New Orleans' famous Mardi Gras tradition is born. Carnival is a Roman Catholic festival that occurs before Lent, a 40-day period of fasting and self-denial. The historical origin of Carnival is obscure, with possible roots in primitive New Year festivals or the ancient Roman Saturnalia festival. The first day of Carnival varies throughout the world, but it generally accelerates on the Sunday before Ash Wednesday and peaks 2 days later on Mardi Gras, French for Fat Tuesday. It's the French who bring the Carnival tradition from Europe to the American Gulf Coast. Mobile, Alabama celebrates its first Carnival in 1703. New Orleans begins organizing lavish Mardi Gras celebrations soon after the city's founding in 1718. After France hands Louisiana over to Spain at the end of the Seven Years' War in 1763, the Spanish banned the celebrations. French Emperor Napoleon reacquires Louisiana in 1800 and sells it to the U.S. in 1803. The New Orleans City Council lifts the ban, and the Mardi Gras tradition resumes in 1827. Coming up, we'll learn more about the controversy over where Mardi Gras began in the United States. We'll also learn about Russia's interesting connection to Mardi Gras in New Orleans. And we'll look at some of the other major carnival festivals around the world. But don't forget to check out Today in History in My Teachers Pay Teachers store. There's a link in the description. All right, let's get to it. So this controversy in the about Mardi Gras in the United States, and it's, a battle royal, or should I say royale, a battle royale between New Orleans and Mobile, Alabama. And both sides claim that they were the first. Let's look at their claims. All right, so for New Orleans, it goes back to the year 1699. And at the mouth of the Mississippi, on the west bank of the Mississippi, in present-day Louisiana, about 60 miles downstream from New Orleans, two French explorers by the name of, these are soldiers, by the name of Bienville and d'Iberville, staked a claim there. And because it was on Mardi Gras, they named it the Pointe du Mardi Gras. That's really New Orleans' claim right there. That's 60 miles away from New Orleans. Two French soldiers named something Mardi Gras. I'm not disparaging New Orleans' claim at being the first. I'm just saying. That's it. Mobile's claim is that French soldiers in 1703 started a Mardi Gras celebration in Mobile, and that by 1711 they have masked balls and parades. This one feels a little stronger, except there's some controversy because it seems like some of these celebrations were maybe not as closely tied to Mardi Gras as they were to the beginning of Carnival around the Feast of the Epiphany on January 6th, more like around that time, and that there's some controversy as to whether it was actually referred to even as Mardi Gras. I guess it is possible that New Orleans had the first true Mardi Gras celebration. I'm not sure, but that 1699 claim is flimsy at best. I don't want to get in the middle of this, but there you go. Take your pick. Now, one thing is for sure, both cities draw huge crowds. New Orleans, about 1.4 million people each year participate in the festivities of Mardi Gras, which incidentally does not happen in the French Quarter, as some people think. The French Quarter streets are too narrow for the parades and that sort of thing. Not that there isn't partying, of course, going on there during Mardi Gras, but that's not where the official Mardi Gras celebrations happen. Bourbon Street is kind of the center of that, but not the French Quarter exactly. But anyway, Mobile also draws really big crowds. This is something I didn't know about before, since New Orleans seems to get all the press when it comes to Mardi Gras. But Mobile also ends up with about 1 million people a year there celebrating Mardi Gras. So kudos to Mobile. Okay, now let's get to Russia's connection to Mardi Gras in New Orleans. So in 1872, the Russian Grand Duke Alexei Romanov Alexandrovich decides he wants to go to New Orleans to celebrate Carnival, to celebrate Mardi Gras. And it's this, there's a big hullabaloo about this. This man is European royalty. He's the brother of the heir to the Russian throne, and it's a big, big deal, okay? And he comes in 1872, and he brings beads, green, purple, and gold beads, and hands them out to the people as part of this thing. This is where the tradition of those colors, green, purple, gold, become a part of New Orleans Mardi Gras celebration. It's also where the King of the Carnival tradition begins, because in New Orleans today, for Mardi Gras, as part of the festivities and as a major part of the parade, somebody gets to be the King of the Carnival and ride around on this float as the King of the Carnival, representing this Russian Grand Duke. Who knew? Probably people in New Orleans knew, but I didn't know. All right. Some other major carnival celebrations around the world. In Tenerife, in the Canary Islands, these are Spanish islands. Big carnival celebration there. One of the very biggest in the world. Millions of people a year party it up in Tenerife. In Germany, there's a very large carnival celebration in Cologne. In South America, of course, there's a really famous one. We'll get to that. But there's the one in Bolivia, in the city of Oruro. Oruro. That's kind of tricky to say. But that's in Bolivia. There's a big carnival celebration there. Back to Europe, in Belgium, in the city of Binche, which I'm not sure if I'm saying right, but in Binche, there's a big carnival celebration. And then as far as France goes, its most famous carnival celebration is in the Mediterranean coastal city of Nice. Okay, so those are some of the biggest, but the two most famous, most popular, best known carnival celebrations in the world outside of New Orleans would have to be the huge Carnevale celebration in Venice, Italy. This goes all the way back to the Middle Ages. It was abolished in 1797, interestingly enough, by Napoleon, whom we've already talked about in this video. He doesn't really want this happening. He's concerned about the safety of his soldiers and whatever else. He bans it in 1797. And surprisingly, it's not revived until 1979. So it's kind of a long drought for Carnival in Venice, but now it's massive, and about 3 million people each year attend this major celebration. Of course, the Venice celebration is especially famous for its masks, ornate, beautiful, decorative masks. They're quite the thing. All right, and of course, the biggest carnival celebration in the world that everybody knows about, even much bigger than the one in New Orleans and much more famous, is in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. This goes all the way back to the year 1723, and just a small number of people participate in this each year, just 40 million people every single year in Rio de Janeiro. So there you go. If you like what you've seen here today, please like and subscribe. You can watch another Mr. Lewis video right here, and you can watch even another one right here. Thanks again.